VR Chat, the next frontier. These are the experiences from Gunters' universe. His continuing mission? To seek out and connect with VR devs and passionate enthusiasts. To discuss theories, beliefs, and rhetoric of all kind. And to boldly go where no show has ever gone before.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Gunters' Universe. I am your host Gunter. Today is June the 9th and this is episode number 10. Tonight's topics, I'm going to talk all about the recent Oculus leaked news and a look back at the mobile VR Gamejam. Gunters' Universe broadcasts live from VR Chat every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern. You can watch previous episodes on my YouTube channel. Head over to guntersuniverse.com and click on the YouTube icon. Last week we had Chris Miranda from Enter VR, Mike Armstrong for RiftMax, Hazar, one of the VR Chat content creators here, and Shannon Norell, who's starting up a Burning Man VR camp. We talked about Google I/O storytelling and Burning Man, so head on over to the YouTube channel and take a look at that. If this is your first time joining us in studio or watching from home, Gunters' Universe is a talk show hosted, produced, and attended live in VR from VR Chat. VR developers and personalities join me every week to discuss the latest in VR news. So let's meet our guest here. To my left, we have Drash, the VR experience engineer and creator of Titans of Space, and he also entered the VR Gamejam with his title Telescopic. How are you doing, Drash?
Good. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I'm glad you could be here. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that are not familiar with you.
Well, you know, I got into game development, app development when the DK1 came into play, and I've just been having a lot of fun since then, trying to make a serious go of it so I can quit my job and all that. So we'll see how it goes.
Excellent. And next we have CodaFrost. He's the founder of Dual Reality Games, and he developed Phase Shift. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you could come out. And also, for those that are not familiar with you and your work, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So independent developer, probably been messing around with VR since early DK1 came out, and pretty much jumped into Unity and started developing as soon as I got my kit. Only other thing I've really released was a early tech demo, like a first-person kind of point-and-click adventure called Techno Babylon. Then I also put out like we did a global game jam entry this year for VR. It was kind of like a bullet time thing with a spin-off of Hobbit. So you're like getting dwarves or throwing dishes at you in a Hobbit hole, and you have to dodge them with your body. And then most recently, I did Phase Shift for the game jam, which was a bronze winner.
Yeah, right on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Had a lot of fun with both Telescopic and Phase Shift. And also Ends Well, which is created by Rev Kyle to my right here. How are you doing, Rev?
Doing all right, Gunter. How's it going?
Oh, very well. Of course, Rev's a good friend and host of the Rev Kyle podcast and among many other things such as VRcasters.com. And like I said, Ends Well. So I don't think you really tell people much about you, but anything new that you want to maybe bring up?
Let's see. I will be announcing soon that Reverend Kyle has gotten himself a VR job and will be moving to Seattle very, very soon.
Oh, wow. So I get the drop on where you're going, Seattle. You sure you don't want to just do me a solid and give me the first on what your job's going to be?
Unfortunately, I can't. Things have not been signed yet, so unfortunately I cannot say. All I can say is that I will be moving to Seattle within the next couple months, and will be immersing myself, pun intended, into a new career.
That's fantastic, dude. What was it, just 2 weeks ago when you found out that your job was outsourcing your job to some people way across the other side of the world, and now it's been so fast, and you've got a gig in VR.
That is
I
correct.
guess
Yes.
that was
Very
the best thing that could
fortunate.
happen.
Absolutely. I couldn't be happier.
And before we talk, I'm just curious, what does your family think about this?
I don't know. I'll let you know after I tell them. No, I'm kidding. No, they are all very, very supportive of everything I've been doing in VR, and they're very excited, and they're already packing their bags.
Nice. All right, guys. So there's kind of a lot going on in the news, specifically around Oculus. There's, the Oculus sort of Step into the Rift event coming up on Thursday, the 11th. I think it's like 11 p.m. or a.m. Pacific, and that's going to be interesting. So we found out that today there's a bunch of leaked pictures about some of the input, and also maybe some renderings of the CV1. So I want to toss things around the table to see what you think. My notes just disappeared on me, so I don't remember what I was going to do first, but let's just jump into the SID, the simple input device that we saw, which is a sort of clicky sort of remote control that I would think would be used for things like a theater experience. Drash, did you take a look at that, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I did see the SID, and my first impression is that's fantastic, because it's too weird to give somebody a wireless mouse or a gamepad when it's supposed to be a mainstream device. The wireless mouse is the closest thing where you can just tell them, okay, click this button to look at something and activate it or whatever. But you run into issues like it's weird to bring a mouse off the mouse pad and put it on your lap, and you may move around the cursor and knock the focus off the app or something like that. So, this is just such a nice, robust way to just have something included with the package, and it's very welcoming and unassuming. I think it's a good move as long as that's not the whole story. I'm still expecting motion controls.
Right. Yeah, I think if we have both, that's pretty sweet. Like, I don't think you want to wave your hands around all the time. That's something low, impact makes a lot of sense. How about you, Coda? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's only part of the picture, but I like how it's really kind of simple and small. Seems really compact and easy to use. There's not a ton of stuff going on, so people should be, even new users should be easily able to find their way using the input while they're in VR. So I think it's cool for what they're using it for, and obviously with them kind of focusing on Story Studio and the cinematic kind of passive stuff that we've been seeing lately, especially. I think it'll be a good input solution for that type of stuff for sure. But yeah, I'm still excited to see what else is going on for gaming, because that's my main focus, obviously. And we're still waiting to see on either motion controls or what else they've got up their sleeves.
Yeah, I was wondering, I hope there is that competition with gaming, and that is going to be something that they're focusing on and hopefully competing against the Vive. But I was wondering maybe that's not going to be so much their approach, because with Valve's system, Steam, and what they're able to really do with the whole gaming market, if maybe they want to just try to focus on everybody else, the mass market. But I hope that there's both, because that would be sweet. Rev, your thoughts?
I'm going to first of all make a point to note that the SID is not motion tracked. So whether you move it and wave it around in front of your face, or whether you hold it in your pocket, you're going to get the same result. So it's a wireless controller that allows you to click. It's the basic same exact interface as what you have on a Generation 1 iPod. Not in any way, shape, or form innovative. And seems like it's just basically, here's how we're going to give you the same options that you had on the Gear VR with the little tap pad on the side. So I think it's a given. I think they had to give us something like that. If they're going to give us a gamepad as well, neat. But I think there's that third option that really needs to happen. And I think that that's what we should all be still kind of hungry and waiting for.
So one comment before we actually jump into like the whole hand tracking is with the clicker. It's more than just a clicker, right? I saw the sort of circle that I assume you can move your thumb and sort of like the gear where you can swipe and sort of
Yeah, I mean, just picture
like a
Generation
mouse
1
almost.
a Generation 1 iPod. Exactly the same concept. You can rotate around and click the middle, or you can click the plus and minus volume buttons on the bottom. It's Generation 1 iPod technology.
So I'm gonna throw up some pictures here in a little bit, and is that the kitty cat? You need to relax.
Maybe that was the SIDS new
So-
haptic
so-
feedback. Does it vibrate?
Probably not.
It's a good thing we don't have those the ability to smell in VR yet, like some people are trying to produce. That'd be very bad right now. And of course, fart sounds are not cool on the set. So if anybody is able to tell who that is, just let me know. Cool. So talking about hand tracking, we saw some pictures that there might be this outward-facing camera. There's also the Henry video that we saw from the Story Studio. There was some speculation that you saw a girl using her fingers in the air. That maybe that there is hand tracking, and maybe the whole comment from Palmer about the Power Glove image that he threw up, or at least one of the characters that wielded the Power Glove from the movie The Wizard. Does this seem to be, what do you guys think? Do you think that they're going to have some sort of hand tracking, or is it like we really don't know? What do you think, Coda?
Yeah, I think, just looking at the competition, they've got Vive's got hands. We've got Sony's got hands now, sort of. I think, where's the hands with Oculus? I think they've got something. It's just a matter of what the implementation is going to be. I think it's kind of interesting with the tweet Palmer put out with the whole Power Glove reference. Not sure what he's hinting at there. They're just trying to lead us down the garden path, but I think, yeah, it's definitely critical. I mean, we've even heard them say it a dozen times, that they know motion controls or that having unique native VR input is the way to go. I just think it'll be interesting to see, like I said, how that's going to play out and what form and fashion that Oculus is, what angle they're going to take, what approach. But yeah, I think it's, I would say some sort of glove or hand tracking or motion controls at the very least, kind of what I'm expecting.
I guess we assume we're going to find out on the 11th, which is, for all of us fanboys and folks that have been hanging out in VR, it's super exciting. Rev, what are your thoughts on motion or hand tracking?
Actually, the first thing I thought when I saw that tweet from Palmer is I was trying to decide why Palmer would tweet a picture of a sex offender. The actor Jackie Vinson, who plays Lucas Barton in the movie The Wizard, is a registered sex offender and child molester. But besides all of that, I think
Stay away from that guy.
Right, exactly. Because Palmer's got T-shirts with this guy's picture on it. Seems to be his hero of some sort. But anyway, off of that topic. We all saw the pictures and the video of the girl playing the little cute video and let's hug the porcupine and put your hands in the air and wave them like you don't care. But was what we were seeing an indication that there's going to be some sort of hand tracking? I think there may be some hand tracking. I don't know if what we were looking at is what the hand tracking is going to be. I have a feeling we might see some sort of like bowling glove type of apparatus, if you guys know what I'm talking about, only covers certain fingers. That'd be my prediction, I think.
That's interesting. What about the whole outward-facing camera and basically doing what Leap does?
No, absolutely not. That is totally not what that is. 100% no.
1 second. So, Drash, give me your thoughts, and then I'm going to work on getting this portal out of here.
Well, I think Coda covered it pretty well. It's kind of baffling to see, you know, what's going on at Oculus, and we're very curious to see what's going to happen next. And, you know, rather than speculate about this kind of mystery question mark here, I'm pretty content to wait until their announcements on the 11th to see what they unveil, you know, the way that they intended it, rather than picking through the leak. Um, and hopefully we'll be excited about it, and they'll give us something to chew on.
For sure. I do want to pause things for a second. So I'm not able to lock down the portals. Is anybody who controls in development for? I mean, you might not be able to share that if it's something that you're working on and you don't want to share, but I'm sure that excites you. Maybe you could talk to that a little bit. What do you think, Drash?
Well, for my VR Jam entry, telescopic, I was originally intending for it to be more of a telescope simulator where you would actually get up out of your seat, take a couple steps toward a telescope, lean down and look in, and then, you know, use motion controls to reach out and kind of move the telescope around to aim it and all that stuff. That was kind of a pipe dream because it ended up being a little bit uncomfortable for various reasons, trying to line up your eyes with the scope and all that stuff. But I mean, that's something I would use motion controls for, just reaching out and manipulating your environment.
Yeah, that would have been great. I love that. I learned a lot from your app and game there. And yeah, being able to make it even more natural, where you could get up and actually look through, would be pretty fantastic. We'll take a look at a video of your game a little later when we get into the Gamejam stuff. How about you, Coda? How would you use this input?
You know, I'm not really sure. I had a pair of the Razer Hydras when those kind of first became relevant to VR, so I experimented with that for a bit, and Unity and, you know, the SDK was real spotty. You had to kind of implement everything on your own, so it took quite a bit of work to get it to be able to even, you know, pick up items and interact and stuff. But I think Drash hit on it. I mean, that's just the basics of it. You know, it's going to be fun to explore, and I didn't really dive too far into that personally myself because there's so many different inputs and, you know, different things going on. Didn't really know where to commit my time to as far as that went. So I just kind of simplified and took a step back and worked on, you know, some simple things like, you know, mouse and keyboard or gamepad input for the time being. But yeah, I you know, had fun kind of messing with some of that stuff, and I think it's unlimited, you know, possibilities with those motion controls alone, you know, and those I'm certainly going to be far iterated on, I'm sure, with whatever Oculus is working on, and, you know, even Lighthouse this leaps, you know, above that. So I don't have anything specific in mind that I'm really working on, but I've got some prototypes and stuff, just basic hand functionality, and like Drash said, interacting with the environment is a great place to start with that. Now, you know, depending on what they're going to announce here coming up with Oculus's input, I'll be looking forward to committing to something a little bit more in depth once I know exactly where we're going.
Right. I'm definitely looking forward to having superpowers. You know, maybe some Hadoukens or the Force or something. How about you, Rev? Will we see input in the next iteration of Ends Well?
Probably not. What I'll probably do is I'll probably go for the cheap, low-hanging fruit. So VR billiards, VR boxing, VR high-lie, VR jump rope. Let's see. How about VR juggling? Basically anything that the STEM guys haven't tried yet.
So not lightsabers.
Right. You mean laser swords.
Lightsabers. I think when I was there and tried it, I think it was called lightsabers then, but maybe not. What's this talk about Skyline? I'm not really sure. I didn't get to read a lot about it. That's another apparent, you know, leak that came out. Rev, do you know anything about Skyline? Am I getting that right?
I'm not sure. There's been a lot of news lately, and I'll tell you, it's kind of been a muddled mess for me last couple days. So I will have to defer to someone else on this one.
It's good chili.
What about you,
Well,
Drash?
right, yeah, it is good chili. Skyline is very good chili.
That's over my head. Coda, Drash, any thoughts on Skyline? Have you heard anything or have any speculation?
Well, based on the picture that I saw, it looked like it was almost a screenshot or some sort of concept shot for the website design. Because if you look at the top of the new site, they've got those categories very similar to the layout they have on that leaked photo. And you'll notice the share is missing, but there's developer, which has replaced the whatever they have on there now. But so I think it might be similar to some of the buttons they have on the top of the website. So I'm thinking Skyline might be share, because that's the only one that seems to be missing. And you kind of think of, okay, well, what is a skyline? I don't know, it's like you're kind of looking at the horizon of vista, right, of the city. So something to do with the vastness. I'm not sure what that would be a reference to, unless maybe it's the vast selection of apps they're going to offer on the skyline. I have no idea. Totally speculating.
Maybe it's a menu system where you look off onto the horizon and then little apps will pop up for you to choose to download.
Hey, here we go. That sounds cool.
I don't know. I'm just pulling stuff out of my keister at this point.
Sure.
Right. But that's kind of what I think it might be. Something related to the store.
Interesting.
I think maybe it's just a concept name. Like, I mean, if it's actually a leak, maybe it was just a code name for something else and we don't know what that is. Skyline is actually the name of a very famous, very beautiful drive in the mountains west of, the Bay Area. So maybe now Oculus is doing their old, MO for pulling up concept names from nearby, natural parks or beaches or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. That would indicate it has something to do with hardware. Every time they've done a codename project like that, it's usually for hardware. That's interesting.
Like Crystal Cove or Crescent Bay, are those actual places?
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are beaches.
Maybe it's
Yeah, that's
code
really
name for
interesting.
input hardware.
DK3. DK3.
Maybe it's their input. Lighthouse, that's Oculus's Lighthouse Skyline. No idea.
Oh yeah, actually I did read, I have actually put down a comment from Reddit that Looney Alexdit, I'm probably screwing that up, but that's what they were thinking is Oculus's equivalent of Lighthouse. That might work with Gear and Rift. And then there was a follow-up by Polezzo that said, yeah, that's a good guess, but he was thinking that it's more, that software, VR network, maybe something akin to a teleportation system that we saw at F8, where you could see VR environments from around the world, including live streams from different vistas.
And maybe they couldn't patent metaverse, so that's their new coined term.
Step into the Rift and something Skyline. So those are
Or
some pictures.
it could be an anomaly detection system, and it has to do with metrics. Has anybody seen that website?
No.
Google showed it to me. So there's
Sounds
this whole
pretty
thing about
boring.
Oculus and Skyline together, and it says that they use Skyline to detect anomalous metrics and some other stuff. So, don't know. It could just be a stat
Tied to
thing.
Facebook
It
new
could be very
tracking
boring.
algorithm.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will all be booing that if that's the case. All right, so and a couple of comments.
Boo.
They like it.
Boo.
Rev likes it.
Boo.
Boo. I imagine there's gonna be a lot of boos. I think that's what I read, and I'm not so much of a booer, but Skyzo commented likes the old one, the new generic. You probably can't even copyright it. Everyday VR responded, "You're correct, actually. The new logo is not copyrightable because it's too simple. Basic shapes don't contain the spark of creativity required for copyright under U.S. law. It can still be protected under trademark, but those protections are different. Nobody can prevent you from, examples, selling shirts or posters with Oculus's new logo on it, provided that you're not using it in the marketing for identifying yourself." And finally, Welcome to Jazz Club says the old one was literally a quick look symbol in Finder on OS X and a familiar icon, used in many other places, which I was always familiar with and did wonder about them using that. So I definitely think a new icon was needed, a new logo, but yeah, I'm not sure about the new one. I kind of like it because it's so simple. It could fit, in very small, in tiny things like a business card. So I think that makes some sense, and it is the shape of the Rift, very distilled down to its most minimal. But I'm not sure. Anybody have comments, Drash?
Yeah, I didn't really have a thought either way on which one I liked more. It's just kind of a shock that they did it, but on thinking about it, I think it makes sense, not just to move away from the whole watchful eye thing, but also because this is a good way to draw a line in the sand between all the dev kits and innovator editions that have come before and the future, all the consumer stuff that's about to hit. You've got all this prolific videos on YouTube and everywhere else of people trying dev kits, and maybe some of them have negative comments or whatever. With this logo change, it's going to be very easy to point out and say, hey, that guy's using old stuff. This doesn't matter. Go look at the new stuff. So it might have just been a necessary thing to do because there were so many dev kits out there. Just got to get a clean break.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. That is sort of brilliant. I really like that. How about you, Coda? You like it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's they're doing some rebranding since Consumer Push is coming up here, so I think it's definitely related to that. And kind of been, they had another logo there. It seemed like they were kind of testing a little bit, and they did that the weird logo for the VR Jam. I wonder if it's the same person who did that. I would speculate that it is the same person who did both logos. I don't know, not a big fan of either of them, but I guess the new one, it's, it does have the simplistic minimalist thing going for it, so it's easily recognizable, but I think it might be a little too indistinguishable. There's not too much going on for it as far as being unique or creative in any way. And then talking about the copyright stuff, yeah, that's interesting. I would assume Oculus has done their research into that type of stuff before committing to something, and it looks like they've pretty well committed. It's on the new website, and it even looked like it was on those renders for the headset as well as the clicker. And some other places you can see they're using the logo. So maybe it's another placeholder, though. We'll find out.
Yeah, I guess it could just be a placeholder. And Rev, you don't like it. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me be more specific. Boo. No. Okay. Here's the thing. Nobody's going to put that on a T-shirt. You know why? Because I remember going to the mismatch store and getting those T-shirts with, oops, we accidentally printed the 0 sideways on this one. Oh no, it's the Oculus trademark symbol. The reason why nobody's going to print that on a T-shirt is because nobody's going to understand what the hell it is. It looks like a 0 is so bored of being the logo that it passed out and it fell over, and that's the new logo. I agree with Drash. I think it was time for a change, and I think all of his reasonings are extremely valid. But that's what they chose? Somebody got paid. This is what kills me. Oculus? No, let me change that. Facebook paid somebody to come up with that. Have you guys seen the movie The Hudsucker Proxy? And he's got that little circle drawn on a piece of paper. He's like, well, for kids. Yeah, it's absurd. It is absolutely absurd, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So, boo.
Yeah, wonderful to hear more about the reason behind it, because it's with a lot of design and art, it's really subjective, and it comes down to like you selling it and explaining, sort of the reasoning behind why you would do something like that. So I wonder if we'll get to hear that. It'd be be interesting. I saw some people just running around on set, so if you could sit in a chair, that'd be sweet. Somebody was just running across the whole top of the stage, and there's a show going on. I really would appreciate that. And every day I see that you're back there, and I read a comment, and it was very insightful. Would you like to chime in on this topic? Try to throw you on the spot there. I don't even know if you have your mic on.
Sorry, I lost focus on my window there. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
On the topic of the logo, like, I mean, I don't know. It's a very I do appreciate at least that the logo has lots of different interpretations. I like a logo that's not like obviously one thing and everybody agrees it's that one thing. So that's interesting. Like some people thought it was a racetrack. Some people it reminded them of like that little Steam guy with the eyes. Some people, you've seen all the interpretations. There's a bunch of them. I mentioned the copyright thing. I don't think it's an issue. Like a lot of people don't know the Coca-Cola logo is actually in the public domain because it's so old. And they keep on using it because it's part of their core identity. It just means that like I said, that Oculus can't stop you if you want to like use the logo, like sell T-shirts with the logo or whatever. They can't like say that's our copyrighted property as long as you're not using it as a trademark for yourself. What else do I think about the logo? I think it's kind of like when I first saw it, my first thought was it looked like a racetrack. A lot of people shared that impression. I've seen actual racetrack logos that look like just like that with some words on it with the name of the racetrack. It also, interestingly, bears the oval is pretty much the same shape as the oval around Nintendo's logo, just a little bit thicker. So if I were a conspiracy theorist, I would be like, so Oculus is working with console manufacturers now. But I think that's just a coincidence.
I think it might be Sega, if anybody. They got the Hedgehog and the Fox are their two main characters they've announced working on internally, which I think are Sonic characters, if I remember correctly. I'm sure that's a coincidence, but it's pretty funny.
Sonic and Tails.
Yep.
All right. Before we move into the game jam, I want to know who that is back there behind, right in front of me at the back. Somebody call that name out.
Who goes there?
Who are you?
What does he look like?
I
Spirey.
can't really tell. He's very, very. What is it?
Spirey 8989.
Spirey,
Hey,
sit your ass down.
I haven't seen you in here. If you can use E to sit, and there's only some levels that you can sit on there in the audience. You can obviously see the level that people are sitting on, and then 2 levels back from that. And that would be sweet. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay, so just want to let everybody know and remind everybody you're watching Gunters Universe and that we do this show every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, GMT -4. If you like the show and like to support our efforts here, please consider donating. Every dollar helps keep the show going, evolving, and me fed with beer. You can find the donation button on my website. So thank you, and let's go back to the show. Let's talk about the mobile Game Jam. You all have entered into the Game Jam, and that's, I'm sure, quite a process, and I really want to hear all about it. First, of course, congratulations to you guys. Congratulations to everybody that participated. I really thank you for giving us some really cool content to play with. And then definitely, if for those that were able to port their games to DK2, that's really awesome. I think so much community wanted that, and thank you. Let's show some videos of our guests' games. Let me pull up Telescopic. I think I was saying it wrong before. Telescopic. Maybe this is working. I might have to put the volume back on. Let's see. And Drash, if you want to talk about this as it's going, that'd be cool. Like, what inspired you to make this? And
Sure. You all know I love space, so obviously I had to do something space related. And this is just something that I wanted to do for myself because I look up at the night sky all the time, but there's really only a few stars or constellations that I still recognize or that I'm very familiar with. And so I wanted to set out to try to fix that using, something immersive and something that sort of easy for the brain to map one-to-one to what they see outside. And beyond that, I wanted to be able to sort of do like a deep dive on what you see out there. Like in this app here, I have like a long exposure view, so you can kind of see like what happens when you train your telescope on that area of the sky for, a couple nights or a week or something, kind of like you're seeing on the screen now. So I was actually pretty happy with that, even though there's still a lot of work to do. I was originally intending for all of that to be stereoscopic 3D, which of course is not realistic because at that distance nothing's going to be stereoscopic. But I still wanted to make it fun, and I didn't really get to that. But beyond that, you're seeing here in the menus, there's a whole little sort of process that I'm doing to sort of serve up these little challenges for the players to tackle at their own pace, to kind of help them sort of with the memorization of everything that there is up there in the sky. Just using something called spaced repetition to sort of know, like they use that with like flashcard systems. Like you get an answer right or wrong, whatever, the system knows how long before it should show you that flashcard again for maximum retention. So I've got that built in there, even though it's not very effective because there's not a whole lot of data in there. Because I got so far through this project and then realized, oh shit, I have not much time to put like all the data in there, all the stars and all the quizzes and things like that. So it's pretty bare bones right now, and that's why I've called it sort of a limited demo. So at some point I'll put together the full version, which will just have a lot more. And I've gotten permission from a very talented astrophotographer named Rogelio Bernal Andreo, and purchased a bunch of his images that he spent a long time doing. They're like big mosaics covering just giant areas of the sky, and that's kind of what you're seeing when you're looking at the long exposure view. So instead of just being a bunch of small little patchwork pieces of just little galaxies and things like that, you're seeing a lot. So there's a lot I want to do for it, just a matter of finding the time to finish it up. Work pieces of just little galaxies.
yeah, I really learned a lot, and I was surprised how much I figured out. I thought I was just going to have to go to the hints and make it all happen, but I didn't really know that much. But I could now I know that Sirius is the brightest star in the sky, and it's part of that triangle constellation, which I believe one of those is part of Orion, maybe, or it's at least really close.
I think Betelgeuse, yeah.
Yeah, Betelgeuse, yeah. And so now I can spot it, because I could always spot Orion. That's kind of the one.
Betelgeuse.
Cool.
Nope, no.
I had to say it the third time, man.
Oh, I thought that was the second. Yeah, somebody needs to get the Betelgeuse avatar in here. That would be fun. Cool, yeah, I really love your title. Let's take a look at Phase Shift, what CodaFrost over there developed. And if you want to talk about, your inspiration and what's going on, that'd be great.
Oh, you're playing the old video.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
all
pull
good.
up a new one. I can do it.
I sent you the newer one in Skype if you have that open. But no, it's totally cool. That was, I think, like our third milestone video there. It was actually showing some of the programmer art. I think some of the final scenes may have made it in there, but yeah, we have a newer one that's more like a actual trailer video. If you can find that link on Skype, that might be a better representation.
Yeah, I'll
But
keep
yeah,
that going.
I can certainly talk a little. There's voiceovers on it, so I'm not sure if I'll talk over the trailer, but yeah, you can see it's basically a cinematic 2.5D platformer. So I mean, it's pretty much 3D, obviously, because you're in VR. but it's 2.5 because you're pretty much running on one axis most of the time. Uh, Although we could certainly play around with that, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, basic inspiration on that was a lot of things actually. I'm a pretty big fan of the old classic adventure games, like old school point and clicks. You know, the old platformers like Mario. You know, the Prince of Persia. Another one that really inspired this one is Out of This World, aka Another World, which was mostly developed by one guy. For the old, I think, Super Nintendo, if I remember correctly. You know, and I like kind of innovative platformers like Braid and some of those other ones inspired this as well. You know, the art style being retro pixel art. Props to my artist Sheridan, who I think is in the audience here. Kobe and Sam as well, our 3D modeler. So we really wanted to focus on kind of a different art style for the jam, especially being mobile. We wanted to do something simple, you know, that would be able to run smoothly on a phone. So we kind of landed on the pixel art style because we haven't seen that done in VR yet, especially in a platformer. And I think there might have been one or two other demos, but yeah, this is the one.
Cool, finally.
To become anything but ordinary.
Cool, finally.
My name is Dr. Hoffman. For the past 12 years, I have been working in solitude on a secret project. Others have theorized that we could be living within multiple dimensions, but I believe I have created a compound that allows me to actually peer into these other worlds. Strange visions have been plaguing my mind. Colossal alien cities, ancient deserts and distant lands. Flashes of imagery far too detailed and vivid to have simply been conjured by my imagination. By focusing my mind's eye, I can actually interact with these other dimensions, almost as if our worlds are meant to be intertwined. I seem to be on the verge of discovering the true nature of our universe, as I have begun to manipulate the threads upon which the very fabric of our reality is woven upon. The further down this rabbit hole I go, the more chaos and power that surrounds me. But I can feel this is my life's calling. I'll find out how deep this rabbit hole goes, and I'll be damned if anyone will stop me.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the trailer.
Well done. That's you know, I love Prince of Persia and the games that you're mentioning, and I'm also interested. I don't know if Albert Hoffman is related to or is inspired from.
Indeed, you caught the reference. Funny story, actually. We were kind of going back and forth, and the story changed, you know, a couple times during the 30-day jam, and we, you know, I wanted to have something unique, you know, unique VR mechanic for a platformer, so we came up with the whole idea of phase shift with this multiple overlapping realities being the main concept, and we weren't sure exactly how it was actually going to be implemented. So I wanted to start with just a simple platformer game because it's, you know, comfortable and very familiar genre. You know, it's been done 1,000 times over, so it's kind of, you know, easy format that's been established that I figured would be cool to build on for a game jam. You know, you really want to simplify before you know, build too big of a scope and then you end up not finishing anything, which you know has happened.
Sure.
So that was kind of the main thing for coming up with the platformer, and then the lens idea. I'm not even sure how that came about. We had a couple different ideas on how we were going to peer into this other world. I know we were talking about at one point having like an object, like a relic, that you would be holding, and it would kind of cast an area around the player that would allow him to see that other realm, or possibly like he would throw the object in that. You know, you would be almost casting a window that way, and so we had a couple different ways. Also, like, played around with like actually flipping back and forth between the two environments with a button click, and then we just tried. I did a little prototype with this lens idea where you were able to see both realities at once, and it just kind of clicked because it works with your gaze, you know, your head look, which I think is you know, a strong point of VR, obviously. And so we just wanted to capitalize on that, and so that's kind of how it came about, you know, being this lens thing. And then the Hoffman thing, back to that question, was yeah, it is a reference to the good Dr. Albert. It's funny because I uploaded the first milestone for the game on Bicycle Day, which I think was the 19th, of April.
Oh, nice.
That was
Oh,
the
nice.
due date. So it was just funny. And then I realized it the next day. There was a post on Reddit about, I forget what it was, an article about like the psychedelic community involved in creating VR.
An upload article?
I think it was, yeah, and it mentioned Bicycle Day in there, and I was like, wait a minute, that was yesterday? I was like, that's when I uploaded my my first milestone. Like, I didn't even realize at the time when I posted it. And if people don't know Bicycle Day, I don't know if you want to explain what that is, but basically it's kind of like somewhat of a holiday, I guess, right?
It's 419, right? And it's right before 420, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
I actually can't explain it very well, but it's like Hoffman's,
basically it's the day he wrote, his infamous day that Dr. Albert Hoffman, who's a Swiss chemist, synthesized the first LSD experiment basically in his laboratory and accidentally dosed himself and ended up like freaking out a little bit and was like, oh, I'm going to ride my bicycle home from work because I don't feel well. And then he just ended up having this amazing journey on his bicycle ride home, which you can read in his book and stuff. So it was kind of like the first trip, but it's known as Bicycle Day, which is on April 19th. And ended up making our character Hoffman because he's a chemist who discovers this random chemical which lets him peer into these other realities. So it seemed like a cool little tribute to him. It was just a weird string of coincidences to find out that we actually uploaded the first milestone on the same on Bicycle Day. It's just a really weird, strange thing. So yeah, that is a reference to him actually.
I love that so much. I want to do a tribute to Terrence McKenna, who is also, sort of part of the whole psychedelic, lore and basically spoke about it and kind of pushed the envelope in that realm, which was also mentioned in that Upload VR article written by Matt Turndrup. He's at Industry Changer. He was one of the first guests here at Gunters University, so things are coming full circle. It's very synchronistic and interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know. We also met a fellow who I forget his name exactly, Roger Esig, I believe, when I was out at CBR. Yeah, Kyle, you can talk about that. He's super into that stuff too. We were talking all about McKenna, and he's done some VR work referencing him. I forget the name of the app or experience that he did, but it's probably worth checking out.
I know a lot about that as well. I know Roger, I wouldn't say super well or anything, but we've hung out in VR a few times, and I'm a big fan of his work. His Facebook page shows so much of his psychedelic sort of inspired paintings and other art pieces, and it's prolific. And he's from Australia, so we don't get to sync up too much because of that. He was on my previous show, Virtually Incorrect, in RiffMax that I started a year ago, and I also was able to borrow some of his artwork that I put behind me on that set, big psychedelic sort of eyeball. And I love that guy. So this all ties in together, and that DMT experience that he has is, I want to see more like that. I want to see if we can push VR into some of those realms to, so people can experience things like that without actually having to try the drugs. A lot of people don't want to do that. And that was Terrence McKenna that you had narrating or talking behind that. So anyways, that's really cool stuff and super rad. So I loved playing your title. I loved the challenge that I got. I was getting pissed off and was like, God damn it, why did I hit the left bumper or whatever it was again? Stop doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy title. We made it pretty challenging for sure. So if you got through it, man, kudos.
I want more.
Definitely some things I want to do to probably make it a little easier, at least for the beginning levels. But I think for a jam, it's good people are able to get through it. So cool, man. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we also have Rev here who created Ends Well, another Gamejam entry, which I played in.
Wait.
Boo you for creating something that was fun to play. Tell us about
disrespect the frog.
Well, I'll tell you what. Before you do that, I have to add a few things here for Coda. 4/19, April 19th is actually my birthday, and my dentist name is Dr. Hoffman. So I'll just throw that in there.
What is
all this? It gets weirder by the minute. That's what I'm saying. McKenna predicted all of this. Damn time wave zero.
Time wave zero. Exactly. maybe VR is really ushering this in or something crazy like that, or maybe I'm just tripping right now.
Now there has been some strange coincidences. It's definitely kind of weird.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what that article was about too. Like some of the people from that community had, their hand in bringing this about. Some of the early VR technology and stuff was created by some of those same thinkers. So it is kind of a weird web, but it does a lot of it seems kind of intertwined in some regard. It's definitely interesting.
Totally.
Another
So,
guy you need to meet is Deep Rifter, by the way. He was out there, I think. Well, he wasn't at SVVR, but he's in a lot of these social places. He writes on Road to VR, and he's all into this stuff. So, Rev.
yeah, you don't really want to talk about ends well, do you? I mean, it didn't even make it to the finals. I feel like I got the shaft a little bit, but oh well, when you judge games by not playing them, I always want to know why. I want to know, was my video that bad? Is the screenshots that bad? Is the description that bad?
Is there no people that can take enough time to play them?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's that conspiracy theory that some of the judges didn't even play the finalists. That's been floating around the VR space. I don't know if you heard about that or not.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought that was kind of strange. It's I don't know. I mean, I have some thoughts on that.
I didn't hear that.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of pieces to it. I think, with yours, because you made it. Did you even make it to the finals, Kyle?
No,
Okay.
mine did not make it to the finals.
I don't know. I think, obviously with this jam, they were being selective with what they wanted to see. So it doesn't necessarily mean that have a bad game or that anybody that didn't make it into the finals is like not a good title. But it may not just be what they were looking for whatever end goal they're trying to achieve. I think that's maybe at least one perspective to it. There could be a title that's superior to all of ours that didn't even make it in the finals that we just haven't played yet, but it just wasn't either visible enough to them or didn't stand out as far as like a marketing perspective. Like they want stuff that can sell the platform, I think, a bit, so they want to have titles that represent their name in some capacity. So if it doesn't jive with what they're doing, that's not a diss to like, oh, your game sucks, but it's just not their exact wheelhouse maybe. I think that's one piece to it, and there's probably a lot more with the money being involved and God only knows what else they're doing over there. So I wouldn't take it as like a slight personally. Oculus looks for whatever they're looking for. And when I was making the game, I was like, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. As long as I think I have a cool game, then that's what's important. So, I achieved that, and then whatever comes out of the contest is just kind of like a bonus. So that was my kind of mind state with it. So, I'd hope other people that didn't make it in the finals don't. I could see it being disappointing. But certainly doesn't mean it's like they're not the end all be all as far as judging. Who's to say that they're the best judges to judge VR anyway?
Well, I agree with you, man. And I look at this and say, okay, I made a game, fun for all ages, pretty addictive, challenging, replay value is amazing. Runs at 60 frames per second on every version of Android out there. You didn't play it and you didn't let it into the finals. There's a huge flaw with your judging, not my game. So I don't, like you said, they're not the say all on this type of thing. I mean, that's obvious to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good point though too. The judging, I mean, the whole thing could have went smoother for sure, in all aspects. But there's probably another story behind that. I'm sure that maybe we'll hear someday, or maybe not. But yeah, going back to that thing you said, there was a post that some guy posted. It was like that multiplayer game, I think, and they had posted some stats. Their server showing what their traffic, their bandwidth was during the final days of the judging, and they said that their servers didn't get hit at all or something. No idea what that's about.
I read that.
But, is that just somebody who's salty making up some crap screenshot, or is that a server issue, or did nobody actually play it? It's pretty strange.
I would guess that nobody played it, or at least they didn't play the multiplayer aspect of it. The Note 4s that were probably used didn't have Wi-Fi connection, which sucks.
Yep.
Wasn't that a Wi-Fi only multiplayer game?
Oh, yeah, it was local only, I think, wasn't it? Well, they wouldn't have servers.
It doesn't mean anything then. They probably just shut off all their airplane mode stuff or whatever, just
so it wasn't
protecting
tracked.
themselves.
Right, but it also means that that feature of the game didn't get tested.
Unless they were testing locally over their own Wi-Fi, you know, not going out to the internet and phoning home.
Oh, well, okay. That's valid.
Carmack doesn't want his stats to be seen on the leaderboards.
Well, let's get this over with, Gunter. Play the darn video, and I'll talk over top of it. This is my old video, by the way, which actually shows less. So you start off in a little kid's room. You are a third-person character watching this poor little frog trying to escape. You get some dialogue as you go back and forth between the snail and the frog. The snail tells you how to escape, and then in exchange you consume him, which was very nice. The purpose of this game is to appeal to all ages. It's cynical, it's funny, it's got a little bit of the kind of Animal Crossing type of thing going on. Mass murder, indeed. Yeah. But hey, survival of the fittest and circle of life and all that Phil Collins bullshit. So
it's an educational experience.
It is, indeed.
It really is a fun game, and it's kind of stressful too.
Well, thanks. I mean, I hurried up and made a DK2 version, hoping that other people would play it, and I think like maybe 12 people have played it. So, yeah, kind of funny.
I started playing it thinking it was going to be kind of a calm, fun experience, and I got really like hot and sweaty by the time I was done, and it was just an intense experience trying to actually get a high score.
Yeah, the fun thing is, in terms of the high score, is I actually reward you for dying. The longer you play it, the higher your score can get. Plus, there's this on-running joke.
I was aware of that.
Yeah.
You came on before, so I ended up getting the highest score, but unfortunately, when I started the game, I hit start too fast, not realizing I needed to add my name.
Ah, you didn't add your name, yeah. So there's this on-running joke, too, in the game where after you've eaten the first snail, all the rest of the little critter friends ask you, say, hey, where's the snail, where's the snail? And it's kind of just an on-running joke kind of thing. This level here, which I call the road, so you have the room, the yard, the road, and then the last one is the park. Each one of these levels individually was created with a unique perspective of adding to the different skills that you've learned from previous levels and making it that much harder. But this is the level everybody loves. Several people said I should make this just be the game by itself and not do the rest of it, but I kind of like the story, so no.
It's like Frogger.
They probably like the Frogger, Frogger aspect.
Yeah.
Right on.
But yeah, I got a lot of really good criticism. I mean, I got a lot of really constructive criticism about the game, a lot of suggestions, a lot of input, and I think they're all great. My goal is probably to not touch this game. This game is done. This game will exist in its current form for the rest of its life. I might make a cardboard version or something like that, but I'm not going to add anything more to this game. It is done. It is completely playable, runs at 60 frames per second, even on Lollipop. It's a complete full game that can be played from beginning to end, has huge replay value, and a high score leaderboard. So it's done. Now, Lenswell 2 might exist somewhere down the road, depending on how my new career is going. I may have time to work on that on the side.
And I guess the whole learning experience is sort of I think the biggest thing. I mean, getting feedback, going through this process, I think that's a big deal, really, is a good opportunity in that regards. And I'm curious if, the previous games in this game has helped you, whether enhance these skills or get more exposure as a developer to help you with the job that you're getting, which of course we don't know anything about that, but that's something I just thought of and be curious to know.
Yeah, it's funny because as I've gone through and iterated through the different titles that I've worked on, and I mean, some of you probably don't know this, but I've released 5 or 6 VR titles at this point, one of which was 100% open sourced for DK1. It was called Presentation Hero, and surprisingly enough, one of the winners of the experience category in the VR Jam actually looked 100% like Presentation Hero, but I'm not going to get into that either. Anyway, no, it's really cool to iterate and learn, and I feel like feedback is an indie developer's best friend. We need to, first of all, give feedback, constructive, good feedback to our developers and let them know what's good and what's bad, what we like and what we don't like, and then let them learn and grow from that. And yes, absolutely, I learned a lot about UI and a lot about interaction with VR over the course of the last couple of titles that I've done, and that has helped dramatically in getting me this role that I'll be taking on here within the next month.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I was thinking about talking about some of the controversy with all this, but I sort of feel like that's just, it's exciting, but really just boring. So just quickly, I wanted to go around and ask sort of what your previous experience in game development, starting with Drash, like have you had any previous jobs as a game developer? Did you go to college for any of this stuff?
My previous and current job is a developer, but for business software. So, I work with C# and databases all day long, whatever, so a lot of that has come in handy, of course. I did take one game development class in college, which was basically the first one they ever offered. They had Tim Kaine that worked on Fallout. He was the co-lecturer, and he gave a few of us E3 tickets, and that was fun. Other than that, it was really just me sort of paying close attention to game dev and all that all along, since the early days and all that stuff. So yeah, that's it. I've been learning quite a bit in the last couple of years, though. I mean, just every spare second I have, I'm just trying to learn something new, and that's been really fun because I'm finally, not being so lazy and just playing games all day and everything. I'm just doing something productive, so it's good.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit more productive by doing what I'm doing in here. This is sort of what I consider my game. I don't really code so much, but I put on experience, I think, and what was I going to say? Oh, I really always encourage people to start creating, let's not be so much consumers, but in VR, I think we have a great opportunity to share a lot of what we can create. Hopefully it'll be very natural ways to create from inside VR. I just think stuff like Minecraft, you see that happening a lot, and I think in VR we're going to see certain applications that are going to allow people to create really easily, naturally, and really excited that maybe less consumers and more creators. Yeah, let's pitch it over to Coda. What is your background with this and college and previous jobs and whatnot?
So don't really have any formal training or experience in the game industry per se. More just straight up indie, man. Everything's self-taught. Never took a class in college for it. Nothing. But I've been kind of programming and tinkering with computers and technology since like the 80s, so I'm a kind of a OG in that regard. Like I used to run an old BBS back in the dial-up days, I used to write scripts and do my own little games and stuff back in QBasic, back in MS-DOS, and kind of started writing code back then and just tinkering around more as a hobbyist. I've done little apps and games for myself, but never really put anything out in public. In that aspect, I've done coding for other stuff, like for my corporate job. I've been within IT for like, I don't know, 8 years. So kind of doing a lot of different stuff there, from software to hardware, and writing little apps and scripts and stuff for that. in a corporate environment, but never really, never worked, in a game development studio or anything professionally. It's always just kind of been a hobby. But recently, just last December, quit my job to do VR full time. So started my own studio, Dual Reality Games. I'm also CTO of another VR company called Visual VR, which is kind of in stealth mode. Not so many people know about it or know much about it, but it's basically like a non-gaming thing. It's a social media experience that we're doing a lot of different experimentation with. So those are kind of the two main things that I'm focused on. That's actually a privately funded company, or we're seeking our second round right now for that. So things are going pretty good in that direction, and yeah, staying afloat, doing VR full time, man. I'm jumping all in. So it's definitely different, definitely a challenge, but it's also really fun and rewarding. So I enjoy it. Also, I'm a music producer. I'm a music guy too, so I'm kind of a jack of all trades guy. Like, I can do a little bit of art, I can do coding, I can do sound and music. So it's one of the main draws to VR for me, is it kind of brought all of my skill sets and talents together creatively, and I'm able to express it as really like the perfect outlet for all those creative things that I've been doing over the years, and brings it all together like perfectly. So it just spoke to me, so I jumped all in. So that is all I do, VR all day.
That's awesome. That's exciting, and that's sort of the dream, I think, for many of the folks in this community. So congratulations, and I can't wait.
Thanks,
I can't wait
man.
to see more of Phase Shift and some of this other stuff that you've alluded to, social media and all that. Sounds really cool. And Rev, I know a bit of your background and whatnot, but I don't think you were a coder before, but maybe you were, and I don't know that aspect. Share a little bit and how you got into then, coding, creating games, and that process.
Sure. In 7th grade, my school got a whole bunch of Apple II computers, and they decided to teach my class a programming in basic class. And they gave me the school book, the manual, whatever, and I took it home and read it front to back, and went in the next day and said, yeah, let's do this. And the teacher had no idea what she was doing. And I ended up teaching the class for the entire half of the year. It was a semester class, and I fell in love with coding, and went on, took Pascal. I actually was that guy in school that could teach you how to hack your TI calculator, add extra memory, extra hard drive, help you program Mario, because not many people know this, but the Z80 processor was the same in the original OG Game Boy as was in the TI-83 calculators. So I did a lot of Pascal, and I believe that was COBOL was on the TI calculators that it would run and compile. And then from there, I played around in Unity when I was in the Android world. Actually created a 2D kind of platformer thing. Actually, it was 2.5D, I guess. Nothing huge. Never put it on the market. It wasn't that great. But it was all accelerometer controlled, and back then I think we were still on like pre-gingerbread days, so things were a little bit complicated. But at that point I stopped developing and coding because I didn't really have anything to do, and not until VR, which I kind of brushed off the dust off my coding skills and started doing it again, and so now here I am.
Yeah, I forgot about the whole Android aspect of what you've worked on. So, yeah, I was just thinking about the training stuff that you've done, and I imagine you worked with a lot of people in the IT sector, and probably were able to learn from them, I imagine. But I also started with QBasic. It's QBasic for me, and Pascal, and then some C++. Unfortunately, I didn't keep up with all of that. And then just another synchronicity is I taught my college Illustrator class because for some reason they brought in a guy that taught film basically, and film on the Mac, and he knew absolutely nothing and just would ask all the students to read the book, read 50 pages when you come in, and then do the exercise. So I ended up being able to teach Illustrator and all that. So that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people have had that similar experience of having to teach the class because the teacher is inept. It happens.
Yeah. It's a good thing we were there.
That's right.
Helping other people.
Save the day.
Yeah, I remember having to teach people to type back in back in grade school. They had the keyboarding class. I remember it would be like, here's the what was the format they would call it? I forget. It's a certain way you had to hold your hands, but yeah, I remember I had to teach that class. I was faster than the keyboarding teacher, so she's like, okay, we're just gonna have Chris teach it because he types better. So we've all had that experience. Apparently, that's funny. Must be common.
Yeah.
How about you, Drash?
Yeah,
You ever
those are
teach
the
a class?
days.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Just wondering if you ever had that experience or taught a class or something.
Teaching class? No.
He teaches everybody about the cosmos with his app.
That's right.
Yep.
Beetlejuice.
You're my teacher. I imagine there's a lot of sleepless nights for a lot of the game jam.
Oh man.
I don't know. Tell me about some of that, like sleepless nights. Did
man.
you eat properly? Was it like screwing up your life? Yeah, Rev.
One of the things that really sucked about the Game Jam was that it overlapped Mother's Day. And so a lot of people had to make that decision of mom or jam. And I chose mom, but I had gotten stuck on something. And the whole time I'm at Mother's Day, like, family events and things, all of a sudden it popped into my mind. It occurred to me the solution to my problem. And then I was chomping at the bit to go home the whole day. So, yeah, it was, the other thing too is, feature creep. What am I going to have in the game? Do I have time to add extra? Do I need to tweak? That was something that really occurred to me. I added a whole new UI to the interface of my splash screen the final night beforehand. Coded an entirely, eye-driven keyboard, and then the leaderboard as well was all added at the last minute. So, those were all things that I think I probably in the last 2 days got a total of 4 hours of sleep over 48 hours. So not a lot. That was good.
You didn't sacrifice Mother's Day. There's always going to be another Mother's Day though.
Well,
not always
right.
another game jam.
Well, now I'm glad I didn't sacrifice it because it didn't make the finals.
Right. How about you, Drash? What was it like being in this game jam and rushing to the finish line?
Yeah, it was pretty intense, but I wasn't working more than I normally do on VR stuff, so not too bad. And I already had a lot of experience with releasing Gear VR apps. I already have 2 on the store, so this was fortunately very smooth. And this was the very first time that the focus of Mother's Day was my wife instead of my mother, because we just had a newborn arrive, a month or so earlier than that. So that made it a little bit easier on me, because I could just do all that stuff at home. And yeah, not too bad.
Congrats on the newborn, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, man. Drash Jr.
Congrats.
Yep, Drash son.
Coda, tell me about your process.
So we had a team. I don't know about you guys. I think you guys were both solo, right? Rev and Drash?
That is correct.
So I'm the only guy with the team here, so it was a little different dynamic with that, but it worked pretty well. We were all super passionate and excited about it, so it wasn't like really work. It was more just kind of a fun project. I actually met my 2 artists out at GDC in the Oculus line, waiting to see the Crescent Bay, and they were pumped about VR. So I figured they would be cool guys to work with on a jam project, because they're obviously hyped about VR. So we had actually made some money in that line, if I remember correctly. There was a survey or something going on, but it was just kind of funny.
$10.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So we were, yeah, we were just kind of chatting and talked a little bit about the jam, and they were like, oh, we're artists, and it's kind of like, hey, we're programmers, and I was with my colleague, Kevin, as well, and so we just kind of linked up there and talked again a little later on, and then followed up online, and just kind of formed a team, and brainstormed on a couple different ideas for a project, and then went with it. It was definitely a lot of work. We created everything from scratch, from the ground up, so all the art, all the programming, the sound, the music, the dialogue, from the storyline to the writing, to the the video production we did in the last I think it was like the last 3 hours before. Like we literally submitted the build like as the clock was rolling over to midnight or whenever the end was, but it was having troubles with the signing tool and the uploader, and it was the last hour of it was pretty insane, just trying to get like a build to work submitted in time. So it was pretty funny. We we jammed the last like 2 days pretty much the whole time. I don't think anybody slept. Like we were just working. There was a lot of stuff to get that lens to work in the last day. Basically, we had some issues with that. So it was crunch time. It was madness. But the rest of it was pretty smooth. We definitely put a lot of time into it. Probably should have made it a little bit smaller in scope. We're aiming for 3 levels, all from scratch was a bit off a bit, but we made it work, and just at the very end got everything kind of tidied up, and yeah, it was a blast. We had fun.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's really interesting to hear, that story, and man, right up to the last minute. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally.
Lucky, nothing went wrong there. Usually when I'm doing things, a lot of times I can get more law or whatever, something's always going to go wrong. So, yeah, I guess you got lucky, or you guys just busted your ass apparently.
Both, a little bit of both, man. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we put out a DK2 build so people can play it on PC, and we've updated a little bit since the jam and fixed some more bugs and polished it up a bit more. Just uploaded a new build this last weekend for the submission, which was cool. They let us kind of update it after everybody won and everything, so that we could get a little better version in there for people, because there was a couple issues and stuff people were running into still. So that was cool. But yeah, it was basically just like a demo, pretty much. So we're planning to actually build a full game out of that, which I'm pretty excited about. So there's a lot more ideas with the mechanics and the whole phase shifting and the interdimensional lens and the whole storyline. There's a million more things we wanted to do with it that didn't make it in for the jam. So super pumped to work on that, because there's stuff that I think is going to be way better than what we have in there right now. But we've gotten some great feedback, and people receive it pretty well. Obviously, we won a bronze prize, so that was cool, and it's something we're definitely planning to expand on. So excited about that.
Very happy to hear that. I can't wait to play that, and thank you for building the DK2 version, because I didn't have a controller on my gear, and didn't have to miss out. I was able to go to DK2 and play it. I saw Rev play it on his stream and was super stoked to try that out. I was super stoked to try it before, but then I couldn't on my gear. So yeah, thanks for doing that.
Oh, I'm glad you got to check it out, and yeah, thanks to Rev too for playing that. That was fun watching some. I've never got to really see too many people play it in person that way, so it's a different perspective, because you get to actually, he's narrating what he's going through, so it's good for kind of, constructive too, to see how people play it, because you know how it goes, man. You played your game a million times while you're building it. You don't know what the hell it is by the time it's done. How a new person is gonna actually be, if they can get through it, or what they're gonna run into. So it's really exciting for me as a developer to see not only just feedback, but to actually see somebody live playing it, or even recorded, to get their perspective of it and to see in the moment what they run into, and how they don't overcome things. So that's I love that. So thanks, guys, man.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll tell you, I still haven't beaten the damn thing. God.
Did you try again?
I played about 5 more. I tried 5 more times after the stream was over, and I still couldn't get it.
It's difficult, man. It's a challenge. It is not an easy little game.
I will get it one of these days.
I want to. One of the ideas I had would be to keep the lens so you can stamp it in place and look away from it. I think you're kind of penalized for looking away a little bit, because if you look, your guy falls. I think that's like the huge thing you're probably running into, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I'm thinking if you could maybe stamp it in place, or there's other ideas I have to make that a little less frustrating. But I like a good challenging game too, so that was partially by design.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely enjoyable. I'm not telling you to change anything. I suck at playing games sometimes.
No, man, like after I first put that lens level together, like I had trouble beating it, and I made it. So it must be challenging.
So what are some games from the Game Jam that you guys tried that you really like? How about you, Drash? Play anything else?
Yeah, there was one called Fathoms Below, where you're underwater and there's a mermaid there talking to you. Very attractive, by the way. And your locomotion is to kind of bob your head up and down to swim stuff. And that part's not so great. It could use some tweaking. But the game itself was just fantastic. The level and the puzzles were all very interesting, very fun, very rewarding. I think that one should have made it a lot further than it did. And there's like a bunch of others that were really deserving of a higher recognition than they got. But we all know that.
How about you, Coda?
I haven't played too many of the other games. I played a couple of the top winners, and I thought they were pretty decent. Drash said there was a couple that I was kind of surprised by that made it up there. I liked some of the apps too. I liked the Coloss that Nick Pidham did. I thought that was pretty well executed, even though it stopped abruptly at the end. But a big fan of the art and the whole storytelling premise there. Another good one. I like the audio. Is it Audio Arena? Even though there was some questionable stuff going on with that one too. Being a music producer, I'm a big fan of. I've always wanted to try to do like an audio workstation or some sort of music tool in VR. So was pretty stoked to see that somebody seemed to do a pretty decent one. What else stood out to me? There's a lot of them I still have to play yet, man. I've been so busy. I gotta still get through them.
Yeah, me too. So much more to play. I downloaded a bunch on my S6 gear setup, but then I returned that and got the Note 4 that I got for a lot cheaper. So I had to do a bunch more downloading, but I did love Neos. That was just one of those mind-blowing experiences, just like Sightline was.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him out at SVVR and got to check it out there too and talk to him for a bit. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, I wish I could have met him. He actually designed this avatar for me, so I was very humbled to receive that during all this stuff that was going on. So I wasn't expecting that. And, yeah, it was really cool. Rev, what's some cool games that you liked in the jam?
Well, I mean, I played a few of them on my last Sunday stream 2 weeks ago. There's a lot of stinkers in that list. That games that I just really did not enjoy, and so I guess the ones that haven't been mentioned here tonight that I think do definitely need some kudos. Number one is Tactera. I think E. McNeil did a very good job with Tactera. I was impressed. It was enjoyable. It was addictive. I've actually played it once this week because I had time, and damn it, I wanted to play it again. I
wish it was more challenging, which for a demo, I don't think that's part of the thing.
Well,
I
right.
want to play more. I want it to be hard now that I got it down.
Right, and I want to be able to upgrade and get more out of it. So yeah, totally. And I also, despite the fact that I always give him crap, I think Blair and Mark Schramm did a wonderful job on Thought Crimes. I thought that Technolust Thought Crimes was definitely a good, interesting concept. Those photo scans were freaking ridiculous, just totally amazing, and I look forward to seeing more out of that. I think that Technolust is going to be one of those franchise names that will become synonymous with VR in some degree.
Yeah, give me more cyberpunk for sure.
That's what we all want. Yep, more cyberpunk. Give it to me. Make me leet.
Speaking of Mark Schramm, he put together this Sideload VR app so that folks could get their apps out there. Have you guys heard of that?
I think it's good. Yeah.
Drash, what do you think of that? Is that something you'll utilize?
Yeah, you know, I have a few experiences that I've put together in the past that are definitely never ever going to be accepted on an official app distribution platform. You know, like TNG Engineering and some of my other stuff where I've ripped game assets and things like that. I shouldn't be doing that, but you know, there's some things that I just like to play around with, and this sideload thing will just be probably the perfect place to sort of distribute that kind of thing for Gear VR stuff. And porn too.
Yay, porn!
Yeah, screw censorship. What do you think, Coda? That's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah, definitely. It just kind of opens things up a bit. I think it was to be expected that something was going to eventually pop up, hopefully sooner than later. So glad to see Mark's taken that upon himself and seems to be doing a great job of it. Also good to hear that Oculus seems to not be getting in the way of it. From what I heard recently, not too sure about all of that, but apparently Mark spoke to Oculus or something I heard, and he said they didn't disapprove or something. So that was good news, because I thought I actually heard Palmer mention something about it when I was chatting with him at SVVR, something about sideloading. I forget what in what context, but so it's cool to hear that they're I'm not going to say supporting it, but they're not getting in the way of it. So I think it's just good to see as much openness and transparency as possible, especially in a new kind of platform and a new medium like this. We don't want it to get too locked down or controlled or monopolized by any one party, and so keeping things open will just kind of make it easier to experiment and get other people in and kind of keep the train moving along quicker. And I think we should see only more content from it and more experimentation, more innovation. There'll probably be some bad things that come out of it too, I'm sure, but as any technology, it's in how you use it. So I'm glad to see that it's not going to be completely locked down for the here and now, at least.
Yeah, more content, more gear content for people is great.
Yeah, it's another reason I was really
limited amount.
Another reason I was excited about the Jam. Since I didn't get to participate in the first one, I just got my kit, shortly around that time. I think that it was in the middle of going on, so didn't really know what I was doing at that point, and just kind of playing other people's demos. So I was kind of surprised they didn't do another one earlier when the DK2 came out. So I kind of had a feeling that something was going to happen sooner than later. Wasn't really expecting mobile, but the whole thing kind of came about suddenly anyway. So it was super pumped to see it, because there really wasn't a lot of content on Gear yet. So I think that really kickstarted it, and hopefully Oculus and other parties do something with the Jam, and not only the people that won, but other developers that made content. And I'd like to see a lot of people expand on it and, maybe get their apps up on the store, their games on the store, or create spin-offs or full of game experiences, etc., and really, even port it to other platforms and stuff too. So hopefully that will happen. We'll see more of that, and it won't just be this Jam stuff that came out and then it dies. Certainly some of it I'm sure will, and it is, like Kyle, like you said, you're kind of done with that, so that's awesome that you're able to say that you're finished and completed with a project too, because that's always difficult for me. I always want to keep working on things.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you're able to kind of complete something and move on too, because there's something to be said about that. So, but I just hope, some people, we see things built upon, like some things that are innovative or that people enjoy. Hopefully, we continue to see more of that stuff.
Rev, your thoughts on sideload?
Great idea, fantastic. Been a fan from the very beginning when Mark first told us about it. He's definitely got my vote, and I think ultimately we will end up seeing it as an alternative that will definitely be full of porn, and that really excites me.
Me too. Yeah, Mark's a great guy. I got to hang out with him out at Connect.
Oh yeah,
really enjoyed that. And he developed Darkfield and Nighttime Terror. Nighttime Terror is on the share or on the gear store. Love that little game. And yeah, he also built stuff here in VR chat. Built some rooms and really pushed the envelope with some of the stuff he could do. So thanks, Mark. The final thing I want to talk about is mobile and VR. Like I always was really interested in mobile and VR and thought it's going to be a big deal. Wasn't worried about it being something that's going to poison the whale. Well, I sort of see it as a big way that mass adoption is going to happen. And I was always really interested in the whole social aspect, that I'd love to be able to enter this and do my show basically from anywhere through my mobile headset. And then, of course, people being able to attend from anywhere and not have to get strapped into their DK2. Coda, what do you think about the whole mobile and VR in the future with that?
I wasn't originally, I'm kind of a hardcore PC guy, not huge into consoles or mobile gaming. I've had consoles and played, stuff on my smartphone, but it just never has really appealed to me. I've always just I've been a PC guy. I've been building my own computers since I was a kid, so it's just kind of always been my thing. And with the DK1 coming out for PC, Oculus, really gearing towards that to begin with, and then the mobile thing kind of coming out of nowhere kind of surprised me, to be honest, a little bit. I mean, I expected it, but just I wasn't thinking it was going to happen so quick and that it was going to be so good. So I got a chance to try it out for the first time at Oculus Connect as well, and I got to their little area early before there were anybody there. It was weird. Their entire staff was just standing around. There was nobody testing it out. And I was like, what the hell is this thing? Gear, okay, I'll try this. And they're like, oh, come over here, check it out. So I got to sit down with it for a while. Most people were just rushed through it, so it was really cool to try it for the first time and be surprised by it like that. And I got to check out a ton of the games and apps. I put it through the works. I put it to the test, and I didn't have any issues with it, so I was definitely impressed. And then kind of grilled one of their lead engineers on it, and was just I was thoroughly impressed by it. And especially just being for VR, it was I mean, certainly you've got to really optimize and cut a lot of corners and stuff like that, but I think it's so accessible. I've just been having a blast just using it for demoing to people and for just raising awareness about VR. I mean, I've been talking to everybody about it, hyping VR since I first got my dev kit, but you can only talk so much, showing people the different things. So that was another huge thing about when the gear came out, was just being mobile and being accessible and able to just show it off. Has been super awesome for me. I recently worked at a pretty massive music festival, actually one of the bigger music festivals in the Midwest, just I think 2 weeks ago. Working with this label, I actually was out there, kind of just brought my headset with me, and because I was on staff there, I was able to kind of get backstage and was mingling with a lot of big names in the music industry, and just nobody knew about VR. So I was really glad I had it with me, because I was just blowing people's minds all day, and made some pretty good connections there. And then when I'm out traveling, out in SVVR, I was demoing to people within 5 minutes of landing in San Francisco. I was demoing to people in the airport, demoing to the cabbies, made some connections literally before I got out of the airport. I'm always demoing to people, even on the plane, no matter where I go. it's just fun and also a really cool networking tool, especially being a founder of an indie studio, trying to get things going for my studio. So I'm out there just hustling. But that's, I think, really cool for VR and mobile right now. It's only going to be this window for a short period of time where people don't know about VR, and so I'm excited just showing people and being able to give them their first demo, especially like now with my own content even is even more exciting. Like I demoed to Joe Ludwig over at Valve. He had never tried Gear VR. Hopefully I can talk about this, but yeah, we were talking about it. And like, you've never actually tried like Gear or mobile? And he's like, nope, never even tried it. And like, I was just kind of fascinated by that, so popped out my headset and demoed to him, and he, I don't know, hopefully liked my game. I think my phone was like overheating at the time, so it was probably stuttering for him. But he's compared to Lighthouse and what they're working on over there. I think I don't know how awesome mobile is to them, but that's a funny story. But yeah, pretty much demoing to everybody. That's the big thing with mobile.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I love that aspect of it, and now that I have mine, I'm looking forward to sharing it with a bunch of people. Really haven't had that opportunity too much yet, but yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's a blast.
Drash, what do you think about the future of mobile VR?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Coda. I mean, I was just a PC guy and didn't really care about the mobile development or anything like that. But, there is a definite appeal to being able to just pick up this small little thing and take it with you. I visit my parents, every couple of weeks, and they're an hour and a half away, and my mom is just so crazy about VR, and she's always asking me to bring my entire rig over there, so that's just such a big pain. And now that's reduced to just bringing the Gear VR, and I can show her a lot of the same things, so that's great. That's really simplified things, and I'm sure that a lot of people, consumers that are still new to VR, they're going to feel the same way. It's much more accessible. And I've been having a lot of fun with some of the games that are on the store now already, like Hero Bound 2. Those are awesome. And the new one that's out called the Cirque du Soleil one, the Curios Box one. I've been running through that like 5 times now. I'm not really a guy that's into like these plays or shows, but this is really cool. It's really fun to just watch. So I can already see like giant replay value, and there's something in there for everybody. Some people are in it for the movies, some people are in it for the experiences or the games. So yeah, it's still the beginning, the early days, but I could definitely see a future in it.
That's way cool. Cool to hear that your mom loves VR. I love that. And Rev, you're, with your Android roots and mobile, I'd love to hear your thoughts on mobile and VR.
If you go back and listen to podcasts of mine back a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I said it in the very beginning that mobile was going to play a huge part in VR breaking out into the mass consumer market. I knew that mobile was going to be a thing, and I pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. Several people over the period of the last 2 years told me, no, that's silly. Mobile's not where it's going to be. I stood my ground, and I feel like I was right, that yes, mobile is definitely a huge part of what VR is and what it will become in the future. So I'll just continue to love Android, love mobile devices, and love everything that has VR and mobile in it together. But at the same time, yes, there's something to be said for a very powerful machine, nice big blocky, video card, and a single, a solid state drive, and a freaking, 600 watt power supply. There's something to be said for that. So yeah, mobile is a big part of it, but it's not the final solution either.
I'll have to go back and listen to that. I myself just immediately thought mobile's going to be what's up, and I was playing on the Minecraft server back in the day. It's almost 2 years now when that started.
Yeah, it's crazy. I miss it, man.
Well, actually, that's a good announcement. The old world is now up. I've been working with Invader, and the Metacraft subreddit is a thing. So if you ever played on the old Minecraft, Metacraft server using Minecraft, there is a beloved place for many of us, which is how I kind of met so many people from the community, and now it's grown so much more. And it was really a social VR experience to me. It was basically the first. We spent 6 months there really building up this old world and having a lot of good time, and Cymatic groups would run through there. It's kind of how I got exposed to it, and it's just a lot of fun. So that's coming back. It's actually something you can play. You can go to the Metacraft subreddit and hear us talk about that. It's all alpha testing mode. We're probably going to have to reload in an older or another save that's more recent. But yeah, that's coming back. And then we'll announce all kinds of this when it's up and stable, and hopefully the Oculus community will enjoy checking that out if they've never tried it. It's going to emphasize being, in a Rift while you're playing and whatnot. So yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Cool. Does that mean my church and my village and everything will be there?
It should be. I know Mumbleton's there. Wormslayer's already got in there, and he flew over. Mumbleton said it's all intact, and just ask him about your church. He'll know.
Awesome.
I know Rev spent a lot of time with other people on the server building this epic church, which is apropos, of course, in a little town there or something. And yeah, we miss those days.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. So that pretty much is coming to a close now. I wanted you guys to have a time to plug your wares, and we'll start with Drash.
Okay, well, when I was in the hospital, when my son was born, Oculus sent me an email saying, oh, your new app is now for sale on the store. And they were taking a long time to kind of get to that point. So I was like, oh, crap, bad timing. So I just hit the button. I just put up all the website and links and stuff. And it basically did zero marketing for the app called Mars is a Real Place. And it's not for everybody, but it's something I actually put a lot of work into, and it doesn't really show that in like the cover art, which is just like black and white and whatever. But just wanted to let people know that there's panoramic images in there that are carefully presented to look like you were there. Like field of view matching, the horizon matches. Went through just thousands of these panoramic stereoscopic images and picked out all the best ones and stuff. So it's all there. It's all curated. It's a nice little experience. The website for this is www.marsisarealplace.com. There's store links to Gear VR, DK2, and Cardboard. So if you're interested in Mars and looking at stereoscopic images, there's over 50 of them. Check it out. And that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to check that out for sure. And people can reach you on the subreddit, your Drash there, and on Twitter, @Drash.
Yeah.
Excellent. And Coda, plug yourself.
Working on expanding on Phase Shift. That's going to be the next thing. Yeah, not really sure the time frame on that. I'm probably going to be targeting, kind of end of the year with that, and then I've also got a couple other games that may or may not see the light of day. We'll see. With a couple other people here. I also have Visual, like I said, which is the social media thing that I'm working on. That should be coming to PC, Gear as well. Phase Shift also hopefully going to be multi-platform. We're probably going to be supporting PC. And hopefully even console maybe here as well, so we'll see about that. But I think that's probably the main focus for right now. So keep an eye out for dual reality games. Gonna be probably doing some music related stuff here as well. Nothing written in stone yet, but I expect big things to come out of that area as well. So lots of things.
Cool, and same for you on Reddit and Twitter, your CodaFrost.
You got it.
Rev, what are you promoting these days?
All right. So RevVR podcast, just as part of the plan for me to move out to Seattle, I haggled with my new employer, And yes, I will be able to maintain my podcast. As a matter of fact, they encouraged me to do so, and they have decided to get me out to Oculus Connect this year. So, lots of pluses there. So look for me out at Oculus Connect, and stay tuned to the podcast. I haven't done an episode in here in about a week or so, but it's just been very hectic. I've got some things lined up that we're going to be doing here in the future. Also, VR Casters is still a thing, so go listen to that, vrcasters.com, 24/7 streaming podcasts. I will be updating that here soon. Actually had somebody talk to me about some aesthetic changes to that, so that'll be cool. Twitter at Reverend KJR, Facebook at Reverend KJR, email me, reverendkjr@gmail.com. Yeah, and just be on the lookout for announcements and news of my exciting, wonderful changes.
Right on, and yeah, people can go to the VR Casters website, click an easy button there that'll dump you into, if you use Skype, will open up your Skype client, dump you into the VR Casters lobby where there's a bunch of people chatting there, and it's really cool to be a part of that.
And most of the podcasters are in there.
That's right. We usually hang out in there. Thanks, Bob. Cause and effects back there.
And Bob and Holotaper here, who do the Left-Handed VR podcast. They're on there. Pure VR guys, Pod VR, Voices of VR, Enter the Rift, and
Enter VR,
maybe,
Chris Miranda. Yeah.
And isn't there Uncle? I don't know if Uncle.
Uncle Johnny, we like him, but he's not part of the group. So
gotcha.
we just and we endorse other podcasters, but to be part of the elite group is well, there's an initiation rite, there's bloodletting, handling of snakes. It's very complicated and messy.
All right, cool. And yeah, I want to plug a few things. I mentioned the Burning Camp situation. I decided to go to Burning Camp this year, Burning Man this year, and join up with that VR camp that's going out there. Chris Miranda will be out there, and Shannon Norrell is the one putting up that situation. There is the Indiegogo campaign going on. I think there's probably 2 weeks left. You can find out more about that at bmanvr.com and help bring some funds there so we can do some really awesome, elaborate VR stuff and have a cool camp running. Also, Converge is having that a Rift event party on Thursday for the stream that's going on. I was hanging out with those guys earlier this week and had some fun over there. And yeah, I think I might try to tune into that. That's at 1 p.m. Eastern. They're doing it 10 p.m. Pacific, so I guess that's an hour before the Oculus stream starts. And looking forward to talking to a bunch of the folks over there in that community. It's really cool. Of course, VR Chat weekly meetup. Definitely want to always promote that. That's the other big event that happens here in VR Chat. We've been doing it for a year and a half now, pretty much every Sunday. It's a great community. So Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, come join, hang out. You can learn about creating worlds here. You can have fun traveling through worlds. And of course, just meeting some great people, great developers, and other personalities that hang out here. And I really love that Road to VR has this new social VR events calendar. You can find that on their site. It's one of the main menu items. Just click events. And that's sort of how we're getting a lot of these social events listed, and we can all kind of, I know there's people that like to go to a whole bunch of those events as well as I do, and keep the party going from social VR client to the next. And I'm always looking for feedback, so reach out to me. Let me know if you want to see somebody on the show, or if you would like to be on the show. All my contact info is on guntersuniverse.com. And I need to scroll down. So next week's show, I have James Jensen. He's the CTO of The Void. He'll be on to talk about that really cool project that they have going on there. And if he can make it, he's definitely going to make it at some point on the show in the future, but I'm hoping next week he'll be going to E3 and might be able to come on the show, is Fox's futurist, Ted Shulowitz. I hung out with him in VR Chat a few weeks ago, and he's a really cool cat. He also is co-founder of Red Cameras and got quite the extensive background, and it turns out he's from Florida as well, so we had a little bit to talk about Florida since that's where I grew up. So it's going to be a great show. Don't miss that. And thank you, guests and audience. Really appreciate you guys being here. It's great to do this, and I love seeing you guys, and I'm always amazed at how many people come out and the conversations we have. Thanks to Kenny and all the people who helped me put this show on. Chrysophrase, who's recording tonight, and I'm butchering his name. He hangs out here a lot in VR chat and attends a lot of the shows here. Really appreciate his support. Fructious Olivier for helping me build the set and avatar here, and always Jesse and Graham, the VR chat devs, for creating this platform where I can do my show from. So that's it. We're done. Thanks so much for coming out, watching from home. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Woo!
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching this cat's butt for most of the show.
Everyone go down on spaceship.
Go download spaceship.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Gunters.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. It was a blast.
So a bunch of us stick around and party down, so we'll be doing that. And if you gotta go,